Oh, good. It's working this time. Last time we had some trouble.
Change their message when you start the streaming. Now it says the content of this meeting is being sent to a third party. It makes it sound a lot more ominous.
It's probably because it's a custom setup, I would
Yeah.
imagine. Okay. And I don't know if Jason is going to be joining us. I know that he is swamped with his day to day. Shall we wait another moment for Sarah, or should we kick things off?
I'm here.
Oh, there she is. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Hi, I'm okay. How are you?
Doing okay, thank you. I know we've got a number of people currently or who have been abroad. John, are you still overseas? And you're on mute, my man.
Sorry. I got back a couple of days ago, so I'm in New York City. Tomorrow I train home for the first time in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And by the way, I spent a lovely 2 days in Istanbul with Zeynep and e-NABLE Turkey.
That's great.
Wow,
That's amazing.
that's wonderful.
And Sarah, you're doing well?
Yeah, I'm in Senegal for
Oh, you're
now.
finally, yeah. So you'll be there
Yeah,
for the long haul, right?
for a while.
Great.
What
Man,
time
that's
is it in
amazing.
Senegal?
It is 4:04 p.m.
Hmm.
So
6 hours ahead of me.
Excellent. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get things started. We've got a number of typical things to review, and then of course we've got the very exciting development of the that took place in the past week and a half or so. But we'll get to that in just a moment. But hello and thank you all for joining or viewing. This is our December 15th bi-weekly town hall. We will be running through just a few posts on the hub. Typically, if you have not joined a town hall before, or if you've not viewed one, these are intended to recap recent developments on the e-NABLE hub, as well as tackle pressing items of business and floating possibilities for new business on the line. Oh, good. Todd is joining. I was hoping he was going to be here. Hey, Todd, how are you? We'll see if his audio connects in just a moment. There he is. Hi, Todd.
How are you?
Doing well, thank you. So we were just kicking things off, Todd. Just introducing the beginning of the town hall here. And Todd, because I believe you're a new e-NABLE member, is that correct?
Relatively, yep, within the last month or so.
Okay, well, Todd, you're one of my items for discussion today.
Thank you. Glad to be an item.
Yeah, you bet. So let's go ahead and run through some of the posts of note. I'd like to do this first because I feel like I've been doing a rather poor job of saving time for those, and they've been getting crammed into the end of our discussions. So let me share my screen, which is always a production. Okie doke. So first up, we've got a post from one Michael Gate. Gosh, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is an e-NABLE member from Botswana in Southern Africa. They're interested in designing a hand for their nephew. Looks like they experienced a traumatic amputation by way of electrocution, which is not uncommon cause for restorative amputation. It's like they're just looking for some baseline resources. Luckily, it looks like we had an e-NABLE member reach out yesterday, soon after Michael posted that. This is Din Nguyen, who indicates they run a prosthetic program in the US. They can make a kinetic hand. That's great. I hope that Din and Michael can connect to get some more particulars about exactly what the residual limb looks like and how much of the gosh, and everything from, how recently this occurred. I can step
That
in here and
that was my thinking too, Adam. I wonder if we're not just getting a little bit ahead of ourselves on this one, because
yeah,
we don't even
don't
know
know anything.
there might not be anything past the wrist if it was amputated. We don't know that yet. And you need to make sure that it's had adequate time to heal before trying to put anything on there.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
And I'm by no means an expert on traumatic amputation, and certainly not in electrocution injuries. The few patients I had that were electrocuted and which resulted in amputation, it was more distal, so fingertips. But who knows how severe the injury was. I have no idea. So yeah, I will I'll jump into the conversation thread after the close of this call. Very, very sorry to hear about his nephew. That's terrible.
yeah.
Switching gears to Christoph Grandis. This is an e-NABLE member who keeps posting kind of wonderful things. He reminds me a lot of Rick in that way, where he's just sort of quietly working to help people and then posting all these amazing things he's developing for folks. But this is a very young recipient who's missing half of her right forearm. The other limb is missing, looks like the majority of her digits. This is a device that he fabricated to allow her to self-feed. So that's wonderful.
That's a very cool device. I wonder, I'd love to know more about that. It looks like, I wonder if that's like I don't know, some kind of a foam on the inside where it's
It
like,
looks like it. Yeah.
okay, so it's sort of adaptable to hold different types of things.
That would be very interesting, and it's a really clever idea. It's not one that I've seen. Usually you see clamps and not like a passive pressure device, but that could be really easily replaced. It might wear down quickly, but you could get 20, 30 of those pretty easily and then just chunk them in, and then that's interesting. I like that.
It looks like, if I'm understanding it, it looks like the piece that's on the end looks like it has the ability to rotate, which is also kind of interesting.
Sorry, I didn't. Yeah, maybe. There's certainly enough space between, so her distal, like the terminal end of her residual limb, looks like it ends about here. If I'm seeing the shadow, but I don't really know. So I don't really know what's going on in here. There could be some kind of mechanism there that is allowing for some pivoting, but some swiveling. That's really cool.
Yeah, nice.
I just want to say what's so cool about it. What's so cool about it is that, first of all, every toddler would benefit from this. It's a low impact application, right? You don't have to, with prosthetics, we usually say a kid this young, you wouldn't want to give a hand because they might try to lift something heavy and that can distort the bones. This is only supporting the weight of a spoon. And indeed, for a kid of that age, that's the main activity, right? Is learning how to handle a spoon.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like it would require a lot of customization. You could have small, medium, large, tiny, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really good example of a non-prosthetic hand for children. I just think it hits the sweet spot for where we can do a lot, and it should go into our list of assistive devices that aren't.
I was going to ask about that, because you mentioned, Adam, that Christoph has been sharing a number of things like this. Do we know if those designs are being shared somewhere?
No, I don't. That would be good to encourage.
Yeah,
I can,
because I know sometimes we have makers that are just so creative and just churn out designs, and they just don't, they're not as interested in the sort of the logistical aspects of maybe documenting and sharing. They just keep making things, and we sometimes need somebody else to help to kind of capture these great ideas and make them accessible to others.
No, it's fascinating though. I would love to see more of, if that is just like a compression terminal device, that seems, gosh, the potential for having writing utensils and, man, all kinds of stylus pens that you could use to interface with the tablet. That's a really great idea. Okay, cool. I think this is also Christoph. So this is something he posted a couple of weeks back. So this is, I'll just read it roughly verbatim. I want to show another interesting project. Was successful. There's a 7-year-old boy with congenital that he's born with a defect on the fingers of his left hand, partially preserved thumb, only one finger. The mobility of the thumb is very limited, only in one plane of motion. I'm guessing just like that. I had to make the hand disproportionately wide so that he could put it on without issue. This time his mother asked if it was possible to make quote unquote something to attach a guitar feather to. Guitar pick, I'm assuming. I'm guessing feather is what it translates to in maybe Christoph's native tongue. I'm not sure. Well, shoot, Jeremy, you're the guitar guy. You would know if feather
Well, no,
is
I was going to ask the same question, but I think your assumption is probably a good one.
Yeah, it's roughly feather shaped. We'll go with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't the whole hand, just a small tool. Second question was whether it would be possible to make an overlay on the rudimentary second finger, extending it to give something like a crab grip, which, if you've heard me talk, you know I'm all about those pincer grip devices. And so I think we're seeing the pick here, this little Dorito looking guy. So that's really interesting. And then we've got this pincer mechanism to allow for, utilizing the strength of the musculature that's still present for that key grip, but extending out to make it more functional. That's really cool. Oh man, he even scanned the residual hand. Oh my gosh, this is quite a long post. I apologize. I only read the top bit. But I encourage everyone to take a look at this. It looks like he's detailing. Honestly, this needs to be just like a story that we put out and say, this is what one of our members did, and take a look at the, how he's helped this kiddo.
I'll follow up with him.
That's amazing.
And
I mean,
the
he's got video and pictures, and it's a passive close, it looks like, which is my preference.
That's very cool.
Oh, good. And Tainara, who is the person I wanted to see this, she jumped on. Oh, man, I need Christoph on the healthcare group too, to just talk about this, because this is exactly the kind of thing that I think more of our members should be exploring. This is amazing.
He's really good.
So Christoph has been with us for a long time, but he seems to have come out of his shell or molded into a new level. This is really exemplary work. Sarah, thank you for offering to follow up with him. I want to point out that initial picture that you showed is a video. And so if we can get permission to share the one of the child holding the spoon, this could be an article, and with the video, it could go viral, something featuring Christoph. And if that adorable kid using her spoon is something we can share, it would, I think, really get people thinking. It's really worth using.
I think there's two possible angles on this, John. I mean, one is what you're saying to, this particular story, this particular case could certainly be an interesting sort of mini documentary in itself. But, I'm also thinking it's been a while, but we used to do chapter spotlights. I like the idea of sort of a volunteer spotlight of basically a deep dive into his work and everything, kind of going across multiple cases and how he's approached them, etc. That could be really interesting.
Well, not to contradict myself, because I was the one enthusiastically going on, but at the beginning, but of course we'd want to make sure he's comfortable with all of that, and that we have permission from the recipients and their family. But obviously Sarah would, Sarah's much better at that than I am. So,
and Sarah, if his English is good, or if we want to get fancy with some sort of automated translation, I think having him do one of our monthly meetings would be great. I think he's really someone we should celebrate.
This is amazing stuff. Okay, well, just in the interest of time, let me hop on down to the next one. We've got Marketa Taraj. This is a request from someone in Iraq.
From Iraq. Oh yeah, right. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought it said.
Oh no, you're good.
She's not. She's in Italy, I think. And she received a request. Yeah.
Yeah, so it
I,
looks like
I
she's
don't.
looking for support for someone in okay, so this is Hassan from Syria. He lives in Iraq. Iraq. Sorry. Don't have the possibility to print a hand. Won't help trusts. So it's a 19-year-old. They don't have so basically, so this is just a 19-year-old guy currently living in Iraq, um, who's in need of a hand. So we've got Maha Nawaz, who lives in the UAE. Looks like they are on top of offering some assistance here. Then we've got Salvage Garden, who we've heard from a number of times, who jumped in to recommend Science Camp in Basra. Um, yeah, Salvage Garden is another one that I think could be a great target for a potential chapter spotlight. If you all haven't looked at the stuff that they've done, they're based in Singapore, and they do some really interesting work outside of just prosthetics. I've seen a number of assistive tools that they've built as well. Very interesting. Any additional comments here, thoughts, ways we can help?
I just want to point out that we've got someone in Italy supporting someone from Iraq with the help of someone from Dubai
UAE and Singapore.
Singapore, right?
and Singapore, pointing to someone elsewhere in Iraq.
Yeah.
I think that's really great.
I think it's a pretty stunning example. Yeah.
Yeah.
No comment on this one, but Adam, I know you have a lot on the agenda for today. I just want to point out that at some point we do need to have some discussion about our matching process and both historical and future possible platforms. It doesn't need to be today. If there's not time for that, we could do it next time. But I just want to kind of get that onto the agenda. We have to talk about, because we're going to need to talk about what to do with e-NABLE Web Central, trying to wind down Azure and next steps and all that.
Well, I think we can hop to, we've got one more post to cover, but let me just do an aside, and we can take as long as we need to discuss that. But I had hoped Morgan Rollins would be able to join this morning. Morgan is an engineer. I believe she lives in oh my gosh, is it San Diego? She lives in California. She is a graduate of Temple University and one of the founders of Tempo, which is the Temple Prosthetics and Orthotics Club. They're now in the process of becoming an official e-NABLE chapter. And Morgan is she's just a powerhouse. She's jumping in to assist wherever and however she can. One of the areas in which she really wants to be of most direct assistance is in leading our efforts to revamp our website. She's got web design experience, and then she claims that she's in a position to dragoon a number of members of Tempo into assisting with that effort as well.
Yeah, I had a meeting with her a while back, and I was very impressed.
Yeah, she's something else. So I have been meeting with her semi-regularly. I believe that, and I apologize. I know that I keep saying, well, I've got this person, I've got that person. Obviously, I don't have a lot of web design experience myself, but I'm feeling very confident about Morgan's capabilities there. That also leads me to the bullet point in attendance in today's session. I'm just kidding, Todd. Todd, thank you very much. Todd reached out to me a couple of weeks ago, and I completely missed his message, indicating that he, and I'm going to paraphrase from memories, but feel free to correct me if I missed something. I believe Todd works in consulting. He does video production and web design work. Is that correct?
Correct, as well as technical project management, global digital asset management.
Yeah.
That's right.
So somebody wrote up Todd in a computer, identifying what our current needs are, and brought him to our doorstep. I'm just kidding. Todd, would you like to introduce yourself and explain, generally what brought you to e-NABLE and how you'd like to be of use?
Absolutely. So my name's Todd Brown, originally from Rochester, New York. I think that some people are based there, right?
Right.
Grew up between East Avenue and Park Avenue over on Colby Street, so not far. I'm just across Culver Road. And we'll be there for Christmas, so I'd be happy to go out and grab a coffee or a beer or something while I'm So
Sold.
hopefully we could figure something like that out. I graduated from Case Western Reserve University with a major in audio engineering. Did a stint in the recording industry here in Cleveland, working for a company called Telarc, some of you may have heard of. And then went into e-commerce platform design, web design, and ultimately became the video producer for Lincoln Electric, which is the world's largest manufacturer of welding and cutting equipment in the world. I have since moved on from that role into digital asset management globally. Some of the platforms under my belt are not only content management for web design, but also digital asset management, as well as globalized project management, specifically for marketing and engineering teams. My side hustle, if you will, is further project consulting, web design, audio, video work, success stories, all of the things that we've been talking about on this call today. And I found e-NABLE just honestly scrolling through, I think it was Reddit. I saw a video of someone who had been creating, I think it was a highlight piece about a guy who was designing things in his shed. And thought that it looked really, really interesting. I'm into 3D printing just kind of as a hobby. I've done some of my own designs. I am not an engineer in that capacity, certainly, but I've fiddled around with SketchUp and Fusion 360 and so on and so forth to design some of my own stuff. And I just thought it was a really great way to be able to volunteer with a 3D printer that is frequently sitting idle. If I could start creating and assembling for the organization. And then as I started to get into the hub and read on the forum and look through all the chapters and the badges and things like that, I decided to reach out to Adam and just say, if there's any other areas where I could be of service, feel free to use me as the item on the agendas as you need to. So
That's fantastic.
Happy to be here and glad to help wherever I can.
Yeah, I'm just flummoxed by the number of good things that have presented themselves in the past couple of weeks here at the end of the year. Because Todd, just for some context that I'm sure Jeremy and John could do a much better job of providing, given their longer tenure with the organization. I've been with e-NABLE for about a year and a half now. I'm a physical therapist. I am serving kind of a dual role. On the one hand, attempting to reach out to people like yourself, whose talents can be of use to the community, and also reaching out to groups who could potentially partner with e-NABLE, like NGOs, nonprofits, other organizations where we could maybe collaborate and find opportunities for more work for our community to do. I also have a small consultancy that is engaging in grant writing and a few other tasks to try to check some important to-dos off of the list. What you are describing are really the big items that we've been struggling to accomplish. So trying to build up media collateral that could be used to establish a small but hopefully impactful social media presence. We have some ideas that we've bounced around here and there, but honestly, we just haven't had much bandwidth or know-how, frankly, to get something like that off the ground. We also have a very, well, maybe I should ask Jeremy to describe this so that it's a more accurate representation. But basically, we have a website that doesn't quite do what we want it to do, a matching platform that pairs makers to recipients that doesn't quite function the way we want it to, and a hub, which is sort of the social networking part of what e-NABLE is, that we'd like to all sort of bring together. We have all the materials. We just need somebody to actually build it and connect it all. Now we've got Morgan with Tempo out in California, who is joining on and will be starting management of the web development side. But I would be very, very interested to see what you can offer in terms of guidance or support, or if that's something that maybe you're suited to or have the time to help to lead. I would just be thrilled with whatever
Absolutely.
assistance we can get.
It would be my pleasure.
That's amazing.
bandwidth is always the challenge, right?
Yeah.
But I'm happy to help wherever and however I can. Absolutely. And actually, the unified platform or lack thereof is one of the things that I noticed when signing in. It admittedly took me a little while to figure out where I was going and what I was supposed to
Yeah.
be doing. So yeah, we are aligned there. I'd be happy to.
Yeah. I was delayed in joining the e-NABLE community for about 2 years because I got so frustrated the first time I tried to join, and then finally. But anyway, that's a different story. Yeah, that's fantastic. So I will I'm sure you and John will have, and Evan for that matter, will have ample opportunity to meet in person in Rochester if that's something that you all would like to do.
You bet.
Otherwise, I can share my meeting request link with you, and we can meet anytime that I have on my calendar. My calendars are fairly open in the afternoon, so it shouldn't be too hard to find a time to meet. But beyond that, thank you very much for joining.
Sure.
I would love to
Thanks for having me.
also get you in a room with Morgan and some other stakeholders. I think you and Sarah could have a lot to talk about how to produce, how to approach a sort of video production strategy that could be sustainable.
Sure.
No, I think that would be there's a ton we could pick from
My
you.
pleasure.
So John,
You-
you keep raising your hand. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, first of all, Todd, welcome. How long are you
Thanks.
going to be in Rochester?
I think we're heading in on the 24th. My boss is upstairs. She knows the schedule better than I. But I think we're heading in on Christmas Eve. We'll be there till the 27th or 28th.
Okay, so I'm putting my email into the chat.
Great.
And I'm very eager to take you up on that coffee and compare notes. But
Great.
you've got a skill set and a comportment that'll be most welcome. I want to point out that Adam and Jason have been with us for how long now? In their capacity as consultants. Jeremy and I we're very grateful to have them step up to the plate because he and I have been doing this for quite some time, and we are actively and I think successfully recruiting sort of a new crop of leaders. It's a great opportunity for people like you, people like Morgan, people like Evan and Sarah to begin thinking about how to take a legacy collection of technologies and practices and take a fresh look and reconfigure it. In particular, I'm convinced that this is the moment for us to break to, we might even imagine a campaign called Beyond Prosthetics, but this notion of assistive devices is a natural expansion that we've wanted to push for a long time. And I can tell you that in Istanbul, they're going in that direction also, and they didn't know about Makers Making Change, which is a collection that we're collaborating with, and Ian and his work on the NIH 3D library, I think is it could use a kickstart. What I'm trying to say is that we have a real curation and consolidation opportunity here, and it will happen when we've got a critical mass of talent and, if necessary, financial resources that we can bring to bear. And I think those things have converged approximately now. So we'll talk about this when we're together, but that's meant to be a segue to the next topic as well.
That's a perfect segue, and I'm going to segue to that right after this post so that we don't miss it.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm going to completely spoil your segue, John. But again, thank you, Todd, very much. We'll all be in touch with you, I'm sure.
Sounds great.
More than you want us to be. So really quickly before talking before jumping to Arrow and the grant that e-NABLE has just received, we've got Preston Soroka. This is a remember from Staples e-NABLE. Oh, Staples High School. I just assumed it was I believe bankrupt company. Anyway, Staples High School in Westport, Connecticut submitted forms from chapter 3 weeks ago, wondering how long it can take to be authenticated. And Sarah, looks like yesterday she jumped in and is on top of this. Sarah, do we have anything else to add on this?
No, I mean, no, I mean, I'm not on, I meant follow up by, bring it to the town hall and see
Mhm.
if anyone had received that request for a chapter.
Have we so I think this is one of those things that needs a little bit more that can be improved upon, Todd. I think that right now this is a little up in the air. Jeremy, did you have something
Yeah,
to
the
add?
only thing I'm not sure that we're, we'd have to look into this again because to be honest, I'm not even clear on the chapter process right now because
Me neither.
while there is a form for submitting kind of the detailed information, I thought I was supposed to get notifications on that form and I haven't gotten any. So that's something we have to check into and make sure it's still working. But then the main trigger once that form has been submitted is submitting the badge request for being in the e-NABLE chapter. And I am confident that I have not received any new chapter badge requests. But like you said, this whole process really needs to be revisited. And this is one of those areas that I'm still kind of seeking to kind of hand things off. As you know, we shut down the email help desk and are just kind of directing people to the hub. But I am still handling a lot of the badge requests. Sarah is helping with some of those, but I'm handling all the device related and I guess still the chapter related ones. But I would be very happy if there was somebody else who would be willing to kind of take over some of that
Yeah,
from me.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Um,
I don't get forms either when someone makes a chapter request. So
Okay. Well, that, I mean,
um,
we can change that. We can have those
okay.
notifications go wherever we want.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to take that too, but
Okay, well, if you are, I
yeah.
think you and I would have to meet so that I can go through the process because that's one of those where it's a little bit more than just approving the badge. There's a spreadsheet that we use to manage those incoming chapter requests, and you have
Yeah.
to actually, mark it as approved in there so it appears on the map. And I can kind of go through that whole process with you if you're open to that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
okay.
If you wouldn't mind, feel free to invite me, guys. I don't mean to step on any toes, but I've got
No, I'd
some
love to.
ideas
Okay.
for workflow automations that might assist where you're not having to go through the spreadsheet cycle of death, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You're not going
Yeah,
blind.
a lot of this is, as you can imagine, a lot of this has just been kind of hobbled together over the years, and I'm sure there's
Sure.
more efficient ways of doing it. So I will be
I'm
happy
thinking of
to.
one specific platform that could basically solve for all of those things.
Okay.
And you would have a consolidated place with notifications. The spreadsheets would be no more. You would have an active list. You could even do it in sequence if you wanted to. So if you
The
had it,
uh
do
the
one
the
thing
only
before the
catch here, and we can look at this together in our meeting, but we do have the chapter map, which is, I don't know if you've seen that, the top of the menu on the hub there. There's a map that has pins on it for all those chapters, and right now that's all custom coded where it is pulling from the spreadsheet using the Google Sheets API and all that. So, that would need to be changed if we want to switch platforms, but I'm sure that's all doable.
it's all doable.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's hop over to the larger item for today, and I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share for now. So, John, I'm going to switch gears to, oh my gosh, talk about the Aero Electronics grant, and it looks like we have
Hey,
a
good
new
timing.
guest who's just joined the call. Hi, Ivy.
Hello, everyone. Hi, thanks for having me. I've been kind of sitting here in the background and just wanted to pop in and say hi. So,
Well, we're thrilled to have you. And honestly, I'm still a little bit speechless. John, would you mind teeing up Ivy and giving a little bit of background for what has happened in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, I have to say, in the last 2 weeks and in the last 90 seconds, we just have got things arriving at just the right moment. Welcome, Ivy. I didn't know Ivy from anything 2 weeks ago, and then we got an email saying, "Hi, I'm from Arrow Electronics, and we want to give you $100,000 on a trust-based philanthropic basis." And I said, "Nah, no." I said, "This is incredible." And so today we get to announce this, and Ivy shows up at just the moment to tell us a little bit more about Arrow Electronics and how she found us, and how she imagines we can work together. And we will begin what I think is really a really great next chapter in e-NABLE's continuing evolution. So welcome, Ivy. Thank you.
Great.
You want to
Thank you
introduce
so
yourself
much.
and Arrow?
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm Ivy Bostrom, and I manage our corporate affairs program at Arrow Electronics. And for those of you not familiar with Arrow, we are actually headquartered in Denver, Colorado, but we are a global company, and we operate in over 90 countries and have employees in about 54. What really Arrow does is we are the global technology solutions provider for anything from semiconductors to components to chips, data and cloud solutions, IT services, you name it. If it takes a charge, we're probably involved. So some of our biggest customers, for instance, are Dell and Microsoft, John Deere, et cetera. So we really kind of live in the middle of connecting what's practical with what's possible. And we believe in really accessible technology, which is what e-NABLE, I think, is kind of based on, is accessible technology, and especially as it relates to mobility for people who have, whether it's born with different abilities or have limb loss due to accidents or war, et cetera. We are really, really excited about your mission. And what we have done this year, which is new, is we have embarked on distributing strategic grants, again, using a trust-based philanthropic model, which really means that we identify beneficiaries based on our focus areas. And we give money to those organizations to continue doing the critical work you're doing, because you are the ones closest to that community, that problem. And therefore, we aren't really asking for anything in return other than, of course, learning more about you, getting to know you, building a relationship with you, and then finding out how we can support you beyond our investment. Can we support you with employee volunteers? Can we support you by connecting you with our over 220,000 customers and suppliers in our ecosystem? Can we help you with engineering solutions, et cetera? So we're really, really excited about the opportunity to partner with you and discover, again, what's practical, what's possible. And that's really who we are. And I don't know if anyone has questions, or if you'd have anything else you want me to mention, John or Evan.
We've chatted, so I'm going to give other people a chance. But we can begin the conversation if you like.
Sure.
Hi, Ivy. I'm Adam Jennings. I have been with e-NABLE for a little while now. If you are engaging with the community moving forward, or if you're at future town halls, I typically lead these meetings, which I've taken over from Jeremy Simon, one of the co-founders of e-NABLE, alongside John. First, I just want to say thank you. I'm usually not speechless. I'm just so thrilled that Arrow selected e-NABLE. I am so very excited about what this will allow us to accomplish. We have a lot to think about. We've got a number of conversations that need to be held with our broader community. This has opened a lot of possibilities for how we sort of change our model, if we choose to change our model, for how we are distributing funds and to what ends. But that problem of choice is all thanks to you and Arrow. So we are deeply grateful. One quick question: can you walk us through a little bit about how and why you selected e-NABLE, and obviously you described how our mission aligns with your focus, but I'm curious, how you became aware of us.
Sure, yeah. And I think I would love to also mention that for the past 8 years, we have been working on technology such as our semi-autonomous SAM car, which is a race car that has allowed a quadriplegic race car driver to drive using
Oh, cool.
just his head. And also that's why,
Yeah.
we do have an IndyCar team, Arrow McLaren. So if you're a race fan, that's also why on Fridays we get to, dress a little casually like this. So anyway, we have explored, multiple ways of bringing technology to people with mobility challenges. So the car is one instance of that. We've actually worked with Unlimited Tomorrow, who I believe is also headquartered there in Rochester, close to you all. And so we have really kind of been at the forefront. We're just always, again, kind of behind closed doors. So you won't really, see us trying to take credit for anything. But so mobility technology is very important to us. As we started looking at what strategic grants we'd like to make in the technology for good space, one of our focus areas. And I probably should let you know that of our 4 focus areas, we do focus on STEM for students of color and also girls and women. And then we focus on climate solutions, technology for good, and then really kind of this overall giving for good pillar that allows our employees in their communities to do the good work that they need to do without many limitations. So as it relates to technology for good, we started looking at global organizations who were helping different individuals, whether through technology, right? So whether it was 3D prosthetics or, different AI-enabled solutions, et cetera. And I wish I could tell you we had some like special formula or recipe that we used to map this out. It was really just putting our brainstorm caps on and looking at high quality, high reputable organizations like yours. And we just saw what you were doing and kept researching and really did a deep dive into the community that you've built over the last, 7+ years, and thought this was just the perfect opportunity to support what you're doing from that aspect. So again, it's our first year doing it. I think that this will allow us to really have more of a blueprint going forward. And we're really excited that it's kind of our inaugural partnership with e-NABLE during our inaugural year for strategic trust-based grants.
Well, that's amazing. And thank you. We're all of us here. We're honored and very happy to start off this partnership. And boy, I'm just going to keep stumbling through unless somebody stops me. So Jeremy,
Well,
John, Evan,
jump
anyone
in
else?
I'll jump in to add my thanks here. Ivy, as Adam mentioned, I've been here with John from the beginning, about a little over 10 years now, and I have been profoundly amazed at just what we've been able to accomplish as a community that has literally just kind of grown by itself. I mean, nobody's really leading things here. It's been so rewarding to see a global community of like-minded volunteers just come together to get things done and help people. And I think we've helped a lot of people. But at the same time, especially in recent years, we've become more and more aware that there are some big challenges in terms of, how much can you expect from volunteers? There are some very big initiatives, very big projects that we know could help to move our community forward, but it's almost like a little bit more than we can ask from volunteers who are donating their time freely. And so a sponsorship like this really, I think, has the potential to be transformative and to help us to, get past some of these hurdles and accomplish some really important projects that'll benefit the entire global community and allow us to help a lot more people. So it really is very exciting. Thank you.
Great. Well, so nice to meet you. Thank you so much. And honestly, I just feel immensely privileged and honored that I am the one delivering the news and that, I'm on the team that's making this all possible. But really, it's pretty amazing to just see all of the progress you've all made as a volunteer community. I think that's what lights us up too, is like, there's so many ways that we can work together to continue pushing the needle forward. So
I'd like to follow up on that because um, I heard you say that you're interested in involving Arrow and our community, and that has a number of interesting possibilities that we'll explore. Um, and because we're an open and transparent community, and this is the closest thing we have to an executive committee, I'm going to say we don't have to talk about everything online, and this is being webcast, but I'm going to raise some issues that I think will be interesting topics of conversation going forward. Um, I'd like to know more about Arrow's resources and aspirations. I've already offered, I at various times have gone around the world telling this story. I would love to have the opportunity to include Arrow's contribution and perhaps to tell the story in an Arrow venue, if that's useful to you. That would also help me understand how we might be able to give your employees and your company other opportunities for becoming a part of the story and becoming a part of this. So that's one thing to say. As you know, the way we use funds in e-NABLE is we have an e-NABLE fund and we have this sort of interesting democratic voting system by which that happens. But it typically involves writing a proposal, and then that proposal is discussed for a few weeks in the community, and then those who care enough to vote, and enough care, and if it's positive enough, it passes. And it's worked pretty well. But with $100,000 in the bank, it's time to review that process and encourage people to develop proposals that may be more ambitious than what we've been able to do in the past. I'm going to ask an embarrassing question just because it's in my mind, which is, does Arrow anticipate this being a wonderful one-time event, in which case we will husband our resources one way? Or when you say trust-based, et cetera, does this imply that in future years, if you like what you've seen, and if we're working together, we can re-up and continue this? You don't have to answer that now, but it's something we're going to want to know about.
Of course, yep. I think it'd be great to have these conversations too about, the specific kind of future pathways between both of our organizations, with our teams, and obviously not on a live webcast, only because we really don't have the answers to that right now. But certainly there are a lot of really exciting possibilities. So
that's great. And we are, any of us, at your service for that purpose. Let me say that I guess Evan. Evan is our
yes.
CFO. I think literally the case now, the CFO for e-NABLE. And Sarah, who's not visible, is with us from Senegal right now, and she's our communications person.
Oh, hey, Sarah.
And a press release on this, if it's in your interest, would certainly be something we'd be happy to collaborate on. Just to identify a few other possible topics of future conversation, online or off. We're an international network, and each country has its own strengths and its own vulnerabilities. In the United States, for example, we have lots of people who want to print hands, and we don't have an oversupply of recipients, partly for insurance reasons, partly because we haven't done systematic outreach, partly because we've been under constraints from sort of the FDA guidelines, which have been very helpful to us, but have not encouraged us to branch out extremely. We might do more of that. However, if Arrow has access to shipping channels, it might raise the possibility that our volunteers could now be helping to make devices that would then be distributed to places in need around the world, especially crisis zones. So there's an example of where your international network and relationships might actually open something up that we've struggled with for a long time. Just examples of topics for future conversation.
No, very interesting. We do have supply chain services. So that would, again, we have so many possibilities throughout our business, but would have to bring together the appropriate teams and really put this in front of them for evaluation. But would love to just you know, again, in the next months over the next year, really ideate with you, and maybe you could share some of these ideas a little more formally so that we can,
Yep.
again, put them in front of the right teams and then see what's possible. But
Honestly, John, we should put something out on the hub to just say, hey, if there's something, like, just try to do some group brainstorming, get some polls out there, and try to give everyone a chance to voice some interest, to make sure that everyone can contribute, and then we can present it a little bit more formally and organized to Ivy and her team. So, but no, I think these are all very exciting ideas, especially, gosh, our bionic design group working with Aero, man. Yeah, there are a lot of possibilities there. Did anyone else have questions or comments for Ivy while she's on the line?
I guess I just want to make sure that the all-important actual transfer of funds is unimpeded right now.
yes, I actually finalized your application in our system. I think you received a confirmation. And so the next steps are that it is being processed on the back end through finance. And I anticipate it should be completed by next Thursday. Of course, I say that, and it will be completed before December 31st, and that is for sure. But our hope and I would say the likelihood will be next Thursday.
That's just great.
And thank you, Evan, by the way, for helping to lead the charge and getting that done so quickly.
Yes.
Of course, I am always here to help in those matters. That is my role and what I'm here for. Everyone does such a wonderful job explaining e-NABLE and our issues and what we've accomplished. I just want to say thank you. That's really, I just want to say thank you again.
Thank you, Ivy.
Yeah.
And by the way, I would like to shout out to the larger e-NABLE community. If you wrote an internal memo just sort of describing us, it would be a fascinating thing for us to see, because we've been in the fishbowl for 10 years now, and there are people who come and go. There are people who've been here much more involved at the beginning, who've made a huge contribution in sort of getting us started. There are people who've stuck it out to the end. There are people who've shown up just in the last few years who I think are going to be really important leaders. I would like to thank all of them for helping us create the organization and the reputation, which apparently you've gotten, and I think it's true, you've gotten a good read on, even though it's not an easy story to put together. So thanks to them, and congratulations to you.
Yeah, hats off to your entire community and all of the volunteers who are working so hard to make sure that people have what they need to be their best selves each day. And I really thank you so much for having me. It's again an honor and privilege to work with you, and look forward to the future. I do have to jump off for another meeting, but this was very exciting, you all, and I hope you have wonderful a new year ahead, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Couldn't be better.
Thank you, Ivy.
Thanks,
All
Ivy.
right.
Thanks, Ivy.
Bye.
Goodbye. Well, gang, this is
if we could
pretty
do this
exciting
every
stuff.
week, we've really got something
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, next week we've got IBM coming in, like, oh, thank you so much, IBM. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like I should drink this champagne coffee here.
Yeah. Does anyone else have, I believe I'm at the end of my to-dos. Any final comments, items to note to discuss in these last 3 minutes here?
No, Adam, if we could maybe just put the whole matching platform discussion on the agenda for next time, that would be great.
You got it. We can dedicate some more time, and I'll try to see if I can circle up with Morgan and Todd, and see if at the very least the three of us can get our heads together to map out a timeline that's realistic. Oh, in the interim though, Jeremy, we might want to see if Todd can get access to the WordPress. That may be premature, but
I'm happy to do that. I wonder do you want to maybe connect him with Morgan before we toss him in there?
Good idea. Okay, we'll do that.
Just don't want anyone stepping on toes with what she's doing.
No,
Yeah,
that's great.
Communication is key.
Okay, sweet.
Okay.
But then,
let's do that.
and I think she can do that too, because she's an admin, but I'd be happy to help as needed.
Okay, wonderful. All Alrighty, gang. Well, thank you all so much, everyone on this call and everyone listening in. This is as John said, a really big moment for e-NABLE. I'm really excited to see what 2024 brings. But for now, enjoy the rest of your month, and we will reconvene in January.
Happy New Year.
Nice
Happy
to
New
meet
Year.
everyone.
All right.
Happy New Year.
All right. Bye.